Hello, everybody. It is 9 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time on April Fool's Day, the first day of April 2024. Thank you for being here. Chris is going to be joining us shortly. We have a lot to talk about tonight. Everything from the upcoming eclipse to what Israel has done today, what NATO has planned. We've got a lot of things to talk about. Of course, we'll touch on what's going on in Haiti as well, and we'll wait here for a couple of seconds and let some people get in here. Hello, thank you all again for watching. Whether you're watching live, always appreciated, or if you're watching at your convenience, equally as appreciated. We'll get underway here with our first story of the night. Speaking of NATO, as I did momentarily, there's something getting ready to happen with NATO. Some say that this is a sign it's about to go down. This is a sign of a mass.
We today announced the kickoff of Exercise Steadfast Defender 2024, which commences next week and runs through May. Steadfast Defender 24 will be the largest NATO exercise in decades, with participation from approximately 90,000 forces from all 31 allies, plus our good partner Sweden. The alliance will demonstrate its Atlantic area via a transatlantic movement of forces from North America. This reinforcement will occur during a simulated emerging conflict scenario against a near-peer adversary. Steadfast Defender 24 will be a clear demonstration of our unity, our strength, and our determination to protect each other, to protect, of course, our values in the rules-based international order. We today announced.
Okay, so that is Steadfast Order. Again, 96,000 from 33 different countries making up NATO, and of course Sweden, about to become a partner. I'm pointing this out. This is going to be happening between now and May. I'm pointing this out for two reasons. One is this this directly links to another story I've got coming up, and two, I want to remind everybody, when I was saying Russia is going to invade Ukraine and everybody was saying I was crazy because all the governments were saying no, 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 my logic was you cannot deploy that many troops in that area for such an extended period of time logistically, and they were indeed, the Russians had them deployed there for a reason on the Ukrainian border. These troops are going to be deployed along the Lithuania, Estonia. They're going to be deployed along those borders. They're going to be probably deployed in Poland, and listen for the Suwalki Gap. All right, I've shown it on here before. The Suwalki Gap is a small territory where Belarus is on one side, Poland is on one side, and Estonia is on one side, and a Russian province is on the other side, one of their only ports, and they want to take that territory and make that Russian and connect that oblast with the rest of Russia, Belarus being a satellite of Russia. So just keep those things in mind as we start out here tonight. As I said, we've got a lot of things talk about. Haven't been on in a few days. I hope everyone had a blessed Easter, and again, Chris is going to be with us here momentarily. So in the meantime, I'll jump to our next story. We mentioned on here, we reported on here that about the port in Baltimore the Francis Scott Key about the barge running into it. We also said that speculation of possible cyber attack. This came in on the 28th late that night, I believe. Yes, on March 28th late that night. More than 1,600 planes hit by a mysterious GPS jamming that was across Europe. Since Sunday, aircraft operating over and in the vicinity of the Baltic Sea and Northern Europe have been due to jamming, with reports that 1,614 aircraft, predominantly civilian, indicated issues since the occurrence began. The majority of these incidents seem to be concentrated in Polish airspace. There are no reports from blogs indicating that aircraft in the airspace of Germany, Denmark, Sweden, Latvia, Lithuania also encountered interference issues. Just a reminder that the technology is to control computer guidance if the need should arise. And I'm sure our country has that same technology that China and Russia have. I said we're going to touch on the eclipse. We've got a few things to say about that. One of them is NASA is going to launch 3 rockets. It says at the eclipse, but 3 rockets during the eclipse on April 8th. Project called the Atmospheric Perturbations Around the Eclipse Path. When I first read this, it was like they had to work really hard to get it to come out to APEP. APEP is the name of an Egyptian serpent deity that eats the sun and embodies chaos. So we'll touch a little bit more on that coming up. I think I heard Chris pop. Check over and see we did, and we'll bring him up here. Chris, how are you? Hello, Pat Tolliver as well over in the chat. Hello, everybody watching. Thank you for watching. Chris, what's going on?
How are you, Barry?
I'm all right. You okay?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good. And everyone in the audience, I'm sure they're all, well, at least I hope they're all right.
Yeah, we hope everybody's all right. The first 2 stories I did, NATO's getting ready to launch the largest military exercise in history, basically, with 96,000 troops involved, and primarily a show of strength against Russia, a provocation, I imagine, will be what Russia sees it as. And then the other thing I touched on here was NASA firing 3 rockets during the eclipse. So that's all we've talked about at the moment. Since you're up here with us, what is the latest on Haiti on your end?
Well, last thing I heard, they're attacking the National Palace. So that's the latest and greatest. And our government is, and IC is really not willing to even still talk to them about, well, I say talk to them. I mean, like guys like Cherizier and Guy Philippe, they don't want to, talk to them at all. Well, I say the IC, that's the international.
The IC, right. The international community. Just for those that don't know,
they don't want to, talk to them about what can be done to restore peace, which I think is just in the it's not in the best interest to even do that. It really isn't. And I mean, they came up with they came with some guidelines.
Yeah, but the former prime minister hasn't even officially stepped down. He's still the officially recognized leader of the government by the international community, and that's just throwing another wrench into the system.
Right. So until they reach that agreement on the transitional council, then Henri is still the acting prime minister. So that's that's kind of like a quagmire,
Yeah.
you know, and what's going on. So I sometimes I think it just would have been best if they would have let him come back in the country and done what they wanted to do to him, like arrest him or whatever, and then that would have been it. You see, but we thought he
Yeah, that would one hurdle
yeah,
that
we thought he'd be in exile, and he's like not quite, you know, but um, I wish he would have came back in the country and they would have arrested him, and that would have been that, and then they could have gone on with whatever they needed to do. But that's not the case.
there are Chris, there are only two options for Haiti. Either you talk to the people that are running it now, which are Philippe and Serge, or you go in forcibly and enforce your will as the international community. I think the international community has a lot more on its plate at the moment, and the wise move would be to try to talk to Serge
That would
and
be
Philippe.
the smart thing to do. But once again, we talked about governments and how sometimes they're not so smart. So um, the other option is they're talking about bringing Belize, the Bahamas, and Jamaica, the military into Haiti to conduct peacekeeping operations. And I don't know if anyone's been following international news, but even the president of Brazil, Lula, said, "Hey, we're not going to be sending troops back to Haiti because it failed the last time." I mean, that's just what I've been saying before. And I can't understand why you want to repeat of a failure again. So, like I said, you're going to be bringing conventional military forces in the fight against a bunch of irregulars, and that's always disastrous for those conventional militaries.
Okay. The what are your thoughts on the Baltimore Bridge incident?
All right, so this is what I've heard, that they lost control, and that boat ship, it was not a boat, it's a ship, was actually being controlled remotely, and it was actually steered the into the bridge.
Okay.
That's what I heard.
All right.
So
And with they recovered the black box obviously because it didn't sink, but yet 2 minutes, the 2 minutes leading up to the hitting the bridge, those 2 minutes are missing from.
that's I didn't hear that.
Isn't that odd?
That's very odd.
Now that comes from the National Transportation Safety Board, the NSTB, or NTSB. Um, they also said that even though that 2 minutes is missing, it's going to take them 18 months to 2 years to actually figure out.
That's a long time. That's a long investigation.
By then it'll be forgotten, and I think the that's actually the purpose, in my opinion, that it's forgotten.
Yeah.
I bring it up because I want to share this. This is just something to think about.
Of course, black box from the ship that hit that bridge is missing 2 minutes of sensor data and steering inputs. Why wouldn't it defy the laws of physics? If you're unaware of what I'm talking about, go ahead and put your tinfoil hat on and follow me. We have two new revelations about that ship hitting the bridge. The first is what Gen Z would refer to as sus. But the second thing is impossible. So let me give you the sus shit first. So they recovered the black box from the ship. They recovered the black box completely intact because why wouldn't they? The ship didn't fucking sink. Then the NTSB informed us that 2 minutes is missing. And it just so happens to be the 2 minutes leading up to the crash. Even though, as we all know, a black box is supposed to have a backup. Nevertheless, some very strategic 2 minutes is just fucking gone. And the sad part is, that's the more reasonable part of the two things we just found out. Like, the second thing is not just sus, it's impossible. So here's a very short clip of what the NTSB just said.
27 and 4 seconds, the pilot ordered the Dali to drop the port anchor.
If you don't know anything about ships and boats, that might not sound that fucked up to you. So let me just show you. You heard him say that they dropped the port anchor and the port side. Let's all have a basic understanding of physics here for a second. They dropped the anchor off the left side of the fucking ship. How the fuck did this ship turn right? That's not possible. It's just not. You cannot drop an anchor off this side and make the ship go that way. Like, look, I understand that the Biden administration is not good at much. But one thing I thought they were very good at was lying to my face. And genuinely getting away with it. How do you have a government of lawyers and spies, and you still somehow suck at lying to the American people? Now we're supposed to just accept that we're missing 2 minutes from a black box that was completely self-contained and had backup power. And it just so happens that those are the two most crucial fucking minutes. And then we're supposed to believe that a ship just said, fuck physics. I'm voting for the fucking asteroid in November.
All right. Again, not agreeing or disagreeing with anything out on the internet. But he is right in the 2 points that the only reason the National Transportation Safety Board would do something to those 2 minutes is that it proved it was remote controlled during that time, in my opinion, and the anchor was never dropped. Despite the order being given, because the power was out and the boat turned right instead of left, because that's what the people in charge of the boat remotely told it to do. I mentioned the NATO, exercise. Oakley, stop! There's a dragon out there or something. Okay. Poland has suspended its adherence to the Treaty of Conventional Armed Forces in Europe, the CFE, and they will no longer be limited on the number of soldiers or where those soldiers can be stationed. Poland is getting ready. NATO's doing a drill. I've got another thing from Poland. We have to mentally get used to a new era. We are in a pre-war era. I'm not exaggerating. It's becoming more evident every day. I don't know if we feel those tensions rising over here, but if we look at what's going on in Europe, it seems like with France and Poland, United Kingdom, the talk is. The talk is troubling. If you're a peace-loving person, what do you think?
Yeah. You know, the lately everything's been about war.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
So,
okay,
go ahead.
Yeah, I'm just kind of tying both things together. We heard NATO say, it's going to be a rapid response of deploying assets, and the Pentagon's rapid wartime response cargo ships are both trapped inside the Baltimore Harbor.
You never find those, right? Never find those.
Huh? I mean, Is that a coincidence or
Yeah,
what?
yeah, okay. I told you I don't believe in coincidences.
Um, I don't know if you ever experienced this, but Chris, a lot of those that are watching that are of my generation or possibly a generation younger knew of this thing called
Oh
MD
yeah, Mad Dog
2020.
2020, of course.
And well, the TikTokers have just discovered this new little drink called MD 2020, Mad Dog 2020. And the prediction is that it isn't going to end well for them. For those that do not know, it creates massive sickness and hangovers, and it is nasty. But it was cheap, and if you couldn't access Boone's Farm, MD 2020 was the next best thing. So moving on, um, we touched on Haiti, and I didn't want to bring it up until I got to this part. A a YouTuber decided he was going to go to Haiti, and he was going to go down there, and he was going to meet Jimmy Barbecue Cerizet and interview him. And he thought that's all you had to do, As a YouTuber, I'm a YouTuber. I'll just go down there and he'll let me interview him. It'll be no big deal. He got hooked up with some guy in Haiti, Sarka Shan, and they got hooked up with an intermediate Lanmo 100 Jus, and instead of taking them to meet Jimmy Cerizet, Lanmo 100 Jus kidnapped the two of them, and they're saying Cerezet's holding them for ransom, but really it's this guy that's holding them for ransom. I don't know if he's doing it in the name of Cerizet. I assume it's within his approval, but this is just in case anybody's happened to be watching that are a YouTuber and you think you can just go anywhere and interview anybody and do anything. Don't go to Haiti.
Yeah,
Don't go to Haiti.
he's been released.
Okay.
So I think he was released maybe a day or so ago.
Okay.
And he said they did have passage, and the interview had been set up with barbecue. So I'm just like, if he's expecting you and you don't show up, why didn't you just call out to him and be like, hey, it's a situation. They gave you the phone.
Yeah.
See? So I really don't know what the whole situation was, but apparently, Barbie. This is what I'm hearing. Apparently,
It's bad. It's bad optics. All right. Them releasing him was the smart thing to do politically. So maybe they've got some political thinkers there because it's really bad optics.
exactly right. So the whole thing about it is I heard Sherazade had said, told whoever kidnapped him, hey, if you let this dude go, we're going to go to war with you. Which is, I don't know what the heck is going on, but like you said, that if I was someone thinking who's going to support Cherizier, if that happened, I'd be like, nah, I don't think I'm going to back this dude because of this. But once again, what's his name, the Arab guy, whatever they call him.
Yeah.
He said they took him to like a desert in Haiti. I'm like, bro, there are no
Took
deserts.
him to a desert?
There are no deserts in Haiti. There might have been sand. You were
There's
a whole bunch of it,
yeah, there might have been.
but it wasn't a desert. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no. The whole island the whole island is relatively
Right. So
lush.
I'm just like, desert. Whoa, like what are you talking about? Like, are you okay? Did they give you something to make you hallucinate, make you think you're in the desert? Like, I don't know.
Make you lie?
Yeah, right. Something.
I wanna play this. I want to play this clip for everybody here real quick, and then we'll talk about something completely different from Haiti, but yet at the
Actually,
same
CERN
time
is
tied
dealing
in.
with radionuclear research, but it is more than that, because there are lots of physicians. I know some. There are beings from portals coming in and out. It's physicists from the CERN who told me this.
They've
So it
testified
is,
to beings coming in and out of portals.
yes, they have apparently in the bottom of the CERN this portal, this door where they are dealing with all the subatomic dimensions. They say there are 17 different dimensions of reality. Physicists says that. Some others say there are more dimensions. There is a fight from some of the military agency, Intel. They say that there is a fight on time. They're trying to change time. Actually, CERN is dealing with radionuclear research, but it is more than that, because
So, is this lady a whack job, or should we be paying more attention
The
to
wacky.
what they're doing
Hey,
at CERN
hey,
and other places?
that whole CERN thing is no, that is not good. You know that, right?
Do what?
The whole CERN thing is not
Yeah,
good. That is
not
not
good.
Yeah, not good at all. Like that.
Um,
Like you're really messing with the. You know, we talked about the whole spiritual realm and other dimensions and stuff like that.
yeah.
That's what they're doing. Like, you don't want to do that. You know, but
And according to some physicists, this lady said some physicists have told her that they've brought beings in and out of portals.
yeah,
Now,
that is
you remember what happened in,
that. Like I said,
huh?
you don't play around with stuff like that. You just don't.
You remember what happened in Miami, the
Yeah,
Miami Mall thing, where these giant aliens were out in front and there were 700 police cars and there was supposedly a teenage riot, and yet there was no video of anything?
yeah. That was see.
They're messing with stuff. They're messing with stuff they don't know. I mean, that's why it's experimental, because they don't know. You know, we got lucky once messing with experimental with the bombs and didn't destroy the world. Um, you get a bunch of Sheldon Coopers together, and by the way, I don't know if people know this or not, but CERN is not the only place doing this. Just west of Chicago, there's a place called Fermilab, and we have our own particle accelerator. The United States does, just west of Chicago. The Department of Justice is ordering Google to release the names and addresses of YouTube viewers who watched specific videos.
So do you know what the videos were?
I don't think it's any of mine, but it might be. I don't know. To me, it's troubling it's troubling that they would. I would imagine it would have something to do with one of the major
Yeah,
political parties,
possibly.
or January 6th. See, and as you know, I that's how I got some of my info. Was I don't want to get caught up in this when I was doing it as a journalist trying to inform people. This is going on in New York City, Chris. An autonomous zone, Palestine is everywhere, quote unquote, has been set up by activists at Zuccotti Park in New York City. Signs reading "No pigs allowed" and "The People's Park." No cop autonomous zone, no cops or yellow vests.
Yeah, tell me how that works out. Yeah, tell me how.
Yeah, that was what I was just about to say. How long do you think this will
Not very
last?
long at all. Not long at all.
Yeah, yeah. Um, okay, this was okay. This happened on March 31st, and I think I sent it to you. I sent it to a few other people that of the caliphate. The leader of ISIS had said, he had called on lone wolves to attack Christians and Jews, specifically in the United States, Europe, and Israel. And three in serious condition terrorist stabs people near a shopping mall in southern Israel. The terrorist has been quote unquote neutralized. But there are people, the point being, there are people that are fanatic. And when they hear the call, they will answer. And that goes not only for Muslims but for others as well. And it's just kind of a reminder, I guess. Earlier on that was the 30th. Earlier on the 30th, that was Saturday. A barge crashed into the Arkansas River Bridge, causing damage to both the ship and the bridge. Just before 1:30 p.m., large barge crashed into and struck the Arkansas River Bridge. Again, this is the third tanker story in a week. There was the tanker in Turkey that took out all of the cranes on the dock so that there would be nothing loaded for many, many months. We've got the Francis Scott Key Bridge being taken down. And now we've got a barge running into a bridge. It doesn't look like it took it down, but did it weaken it? If there's a small earthquake, did it weaken it enough? If enough cars go over it? I don't know. It's just odd. I know you don't believe in coincidences.
Yeah, well,
Something to think about anyway.
for sure.
I don't know how many people heard about this, but a Chinese illegal alien was arrested in California after entering a Marine Corps base without authorization and ignoring orders to leave. The illegal tried to enter the Marine Corps Air Ground Combat Center in 29 Palms, California. Identification, was detained by military law enforcement. His purpose and intent behind his actions are still being investigated. I'm not part of an investigation, but I'm saying he's gathering intelligence and intelligence on personnel and assets.
So he was arrested, right?
Yeah.
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 I hope so. 'Cause that, whatever it is, it's just not good.
This is a long story by our friend Ford Fisher, so I'm going to save this. I may do this in a separate video because we got to get to this. Israeli airstrike This was the first report I got. This came in 10 hours ago. Israeli airstrike destroys building next to Iran's embassy in Canada's inside. And we found out what that was actually all about. We'll give a little bit more on that in a bit. Chris, I had a whole bunch of people calling me a conspiracy theorist, a hater, all different kinds of things because I talked about direct energy weapons, because I talked about laser weapons mounted on planes and possibly even on satellites. And last night's 60 Minutes came out in association with a Russian organization and a German organization and said that numerous CIA officers have been attacked with direct energy weapons.
Didn't that happen down there in Havana, Cuba?
Yeah, Havana syndrome is what it's been named. It was an unknown. Any, I don't know. Maybe we've got the dumbest people in our country in our government because I've known about these things. If you could, 1985, there were people coming out talking about. It's frustrating. Texas has issued a health alert. The state's first human case of H5N1 bird flu. And there's also avian flu in dairy cows in Texas, in New Mexico, Oklahoma, and Michigan, I think, are the four states. So milk, price of milk is going, food as always is going to continue to go up because they're continuing to eliminate the means necessary to produce food. In my opinion, this is another view of the Israeli attack today in Damascus. The Iranian embassy, Canadian embassy, and the building in between was taken out with precision. We will give them that by Israel. Chris, I'm going to back up to that for a second because we touched on that already. We'll buzz by that. But how much is this an escalation? I've got a couple other stories coming up that are going to talk about part of this, but Iran's not just going to take this,
No,
right?
they're not, right? Iran always has like a plan, and like I said, they just don't respond immediately. So they'll take their time and launch an attack. They'll have Hezbollah actually do something. You see, it'll be Iran, but they'll just use Hezbollah.
And there, I just want you to know, from a diplomatic or political side, Iran is handling it in the correct manner, as we'll see here in a minute. Again, this is the last I got. Police source confirming the heavy shooting downtown in the vicinity of the National Palace in Haiti. We can kind of expect that until one of two things happen. Either the international community brings forth a proposal that is satisfactory to the people of Haiti and not to the oligarchs or those that had been in charge, or Russia or China comes in and aids Haiti.
Well, you know what?
And to me, that is incredibly dangerous because just like Russia put missiles on Cuba, south of Cuba, yeah. So we ought to be prioritizing it. We ought to be stabilizing it. And if that means dealing with criminals, we've got a Democrat in Congress, in the Senate, that is under indictment for money laundering and bribery. And he refuses to step down, and we don't seem to have any problem communicating with him. We don't seem to have any problem communicating with Putin, with China, with North Korea, with terrorist organizations. Yeah. Hezbollah, Iran, we talk to all these people. Why do we not talk to Haiti? Is it because it's a black nation?
I just had this discussion with one of my buddies today, another SF guy, right? And he's like, I don't think it's because they're black. I think I think it's one they don't really have any bargaining chips. You see, like Nigeria, they have bargaining chips, a bargaining chip, which is the oil. You see, so what does Haiti really have that they can bargain with?
They've taken most of the gold.
They've taken the gold, they've taken the iridium, the majority of it, right? So they're supposed to have the second largest iridium deposits, um, you know, in
The second
outside
largest what?
outside of South Africa, outside of South Africa, right?
Second largest what? You cut out there for a
Oh
second.
yeah, the second largest iridium deposits
Yeah, yeah, okay. That's
outside
what
of
I
South
thought you were
Africa,
talking about.
right? So they have that bauxite, copper, gold. Um, I, someone said oil, but I don't know how much oil there is. But I mean the marble and some other stuff. So
And to me,
you
all
know,
this ties to me. This all ties together with the direct energy weapons, with with them being used by Russia and Cuba. Um, I've I always thought when it first happened, I thought, how did that earthquake in Haiti happen? Because there, and where it happened, and I'm still not. I still wonder if it wasn't an accident, um, or intentional. Let's see what happens, and Haiti's as good an island as any to try it on, and they can
yeah.
indeed
Well,
stimulate earthquakes.
if you haven't seen like what Port-au-Prince looks like after the earthquake, I mean, like I said, the last time I was there was in 2018, and like you go to Lower Port-au-Prince, man, you can still see like it's offset. Things are still pancaked, but like the streets are offset. One side of the street's higher than the other. Stuff's pancaked. I was like, wow, that was one heck of an earthquake. I was like, damn,
Yeah,
that's that's a lot of damage, and that's just lower Port-au-Prince. You see, I was like wow, that's one heck of an earthquake. And then when this girl that I know, she was in the earthquake, and a wall actually came down on her and crushed her leg, and she was under that rubble, I think, for a couple days until
oh my
someone came and got
gosh.
her. And
Oh,
yeah, yeah, it was it's something else. It was something else. And I don't think people realize the magnitude and the destruction that earthquake really caused. I mean, it was
yeah.
pretty bad. Yeah,
Devastated.
yeah.
It devastated the country. Um, okay, for those that don't know, this is what it looks like inside the CERN supercomputer, or the CERN particle accelerator. It's basically a giant tube in a circle, and um, it's going to It's going to, after a 2 year 2 year layoff on April 8th, Chris. The facility will propel trillions of protons close to the speed of light, orbiting its 17-mile circumference more than 11,000 times per second, and try to crash them into each other,
So
to
they're
see
gonna
what
have like
happens.
one going one way and another going another way, and they're gonna make them collide to see what
Yeah,
occurs.
that's the whole purpose of the collider. Yeah, yeah, and they're going to do it on the same day, coincidentally, um, as the eclipse. You would think that they might move it a day or two, one way or the other, so the focus was on that and not on the eclipse, unless they really have opened and closed. They open portals, and people are or entities are coming in and out, and that's the day the entities are going to be coming in and out. I don't know. Again, I just want, in case you just joined us, 60 Minutes last night, they talked about the direct energy weapons. I recommend anybody that hasn't seen it to watch that. The readiness of the Israeli Defense Forces Northern and Home Front Command has reportedly been raised to its highest level. Not a surprise there. I'm going to hold off on this for this is about P. Diddy. I'm going to save that with the other longer thing I've got. A car rammed into the gate at the FBI office in Atlanta today, Chris.
I did.
Did you hear about this? Yeah. Individual rammed into the employee entrance, then tried to enter the facility. Can you
cannot.
explain? I can't. I can't. Okay, the Kaharzian Mafia has a planned Holocaust event on April 8th. They planned a Holocaust of mass murder event for the U.S. Christian heartland on April 8th. The entire April 8th solar eclipse event has been forensically traced to kill 90% of the humanity and enslave the rest. Shabbat death cult. Again, I'm not saying this is true, not true. I'm just showing people some of the stuff that's out there, as always, giving you something to think about. And oddly, and I mentioned something to him, and it was before I saw this. I mentioned to him that I had a concern that another country might do something or try to do something, and or the United States might do something to us if they're part of this new world order plan, and you got to get rid of 90% of the people. They do something. They say this is an act of God in order to deflect, or they blame it on which will happen. They'll blame it on anything and everything other than taking responsibility, whoever does it. But that is my concern about the eclipse. I prayed about it the other night and asked, and I'm gonna pause here for a second, pop back over. I prayed about it the other night and I asked, what I was asking, what is going to happen? And I didn't even get a finish happen. I said, what is going to happen? And I started seeing EMP just repeated across the top of my eyes. EMP. So what, I know it sounds nuts, but Chris, is there a possibility that some country who want, or countries together that want to attack us, is it not probable that they would want to attack us on a day where we are incredibly distracted, as well as a lot of people get a specific event that is already being hyped up as biblical?
So you do know if you get hit with an EMP, like all your electronics, all cars get stopped, nothing works.
Right.
And
they've warned, and some areas have warned to have food and water for up to 2 weeks to make sure you've got access to a landline. Sure, that would work under an EMP, but it's for doggone sure certain that cell phones aren't going to work under an EMP.
Nope.
And the cars aren't going to work, so you're going to be a lot of people are going to be packed into areas. That's chaos waiting to happen.
Yes, it is. So maybe that's what. Maybe they knew. Maybe they know about this. Maybe they're like this. Hey, you know what we're gonna do? We're gonna screw your stuff up. We're gonna hit you with an EMP, and that's why they're coming out saying what they're saying. About the water and just the survival equipment.
Yeah,
For that
because
time.
it's a 4 minute eclipse.
Right.
I mean, it's a 4 minute event. It's you watch the event, you leave. There should not be any danger. There should not be any. But for a couple of days, I've just felt this heaviness in anticipation of this event coming up.
I just sit back and go for the ride and see, what is it
Yeah.
exactly
What else can we do?
Just because of the crazy stuff. I mean, there's so much crazy stuff going on in the world right now. Nothing would ever surprise me.
I've heard that they're going to drop poison in three separate plane flights following the eclipse. I've heard that's probably the strangest, is that they're going to be three separate drops of poison so that it'll fall over all the people gathered watch the eclipse, and then those people will spread the disease and infect the country.
Who'd that come from?
Somebody online. No, and I'm the only one that has said EMP. Okay, it's not like somebody else online. I heard that from somebody else. That's just what I saw when I was asking about it, which may mean nothing. It may mean it. We should. I mean, where is the hype coming from? If where is all this smoke coming from? If there isn't some sort of fire justifying.
Listen. They know something. Okay. Listen. They're just not gonna come out and say something like that. Like, I was just like, it doesn't make any sense. That makes absolutely no sense. All the stuff they're talking about. Okay. We've had numerous eclipses, right? And
Yeah.
and no one said anything about it. And then people say, "Oh, this eclipse is going to be different." How's it going to be different? It's just the sun or the moon passing in front of the sun, or some, whatever it is. It's happened a gazillion times before. What makes this one any different?
It makes an X. It makes an X across. It makes an X across America. The one in 2017 supposedly was the precursor. It went through towns named Salem, several towns on the path across America. This one's going through several communities named Nineveh, which of course Jonah and the whale. Jonah was supposed to go to Nineveh. He refused, and he eventually went, and Nineveh was saved, and there was an eclipse while either right before or while Jonah was beginning to speak. There was an eclipse. It makes an X, and there's different interpretations of where the X actually goes, but a warning sign. And so to me, nothing biblically is going to happen on April 8th if it is a sign, because God wouldn't give us a sign and then immediately destroy everybody.
Right.
So if it is a sign, and I'm not saying it's not, if it is a sign, the 40 days from the eclipse, I think it's May the 10th, from the eclipse, 40 days, uh, and 40 days simply because 40 days is biblical. You know, it's 40 days and 40 nights. It rained. Um, Jesus was in the desert for 40 days. Moses fasted for 40 days when he was in the desert. So I would say 40 days from the eclipse to like the first Friday, second Friday in May. I think that's around 40-day period. Look for something to happen if something's going to happen supernaturally, biblically, or not necessarily supernaturally, but naturally. Now, if it happens on that day, um, then I'm going to say it's mankind. Mankind has done something, and they're going to try to blame God, as ludicrous as that sounds.
But it really doesn't. Man's always going to blame somebody or something for what happened. You know, especially when they screw up.
And the Illuminati is coming to light. You know, the fact that there are real people worshiping the devil and real people that want to be a part of Satan. You know, we shouldn't be surprised. You know, I mean, if God's real, why, how can you say Satan's not real? But that's happened to a lot of people have been downplaying the idea that evil does, and will continue to exist.
Oh,
But
no
evil's
doubt.
real.
No doubt, it's very real. It's very real. I don't think people really understand that. And I talked to you about these places that I've been throughout the world, like Haiti, and then traveling to like Nigeria. Um, these are some places that have very high spiritual. Um, they're very active spiritually.
In the dark arts,
Some
if
of
you
the stuff
will.
they say voodoo. We call it. Some say juju, root works, whatever you want to call it. But like in Benin, which is in West Africa, they're very high in it. The whole thing with the juju. And then just coming here, they just call it voodoo in Haiti, but then in Nigeria, it's very prevalent. And then like I said, in the Caribbean, um, the whole voodoo thing is very prevalent, but it's really strong in Haiti, and I've noticed that.
Is it
All right,
satanic?
so here's the thing. The word voodoo means spirit. Okay. Now,
Hmm. So there's good voodoo and bad voodoo, good juju, bad good juju.
right, supposedly, right? Like like I said,
Supposedly.
supposedly, that's what they say. Um, like I said, when I was in Haiti, I spent that time in Haiti. I know to be home at a certain time, just because of the whole spiritual realm, which is real. Okay, you don't want to be caught outside at a certain hour because the spiritual realm awakens. Like people in the states
You
can't.
cut
They
out.
really can't.
You cut.
Okay,
You
so
cut out. You cut out there for a second. You said you don't want to be caught outside.
yeah, in Haiti, at certain hours, it's okay to be out. Okay, in Haiti, to be outside at night, but there's like an hour that stops you to be home, because if you're not home, a lot of crazy stuff can happen. That's when the spiritual realm really awakens. See, people in the states can't even relate.
Interesting.
People in the states can't even relate to what I'm saying. Okay, and you know,
Well, you've said before that the
yeah,
air is
I
different
told you
there.
like the first two times I went there, I got off the bus and like the air was still. I'm like something's wrong. You know, I was like something's wrong. Even the second time I went there, the air was still. The third time I went there, the air was still. Getting off the plane, you know, coming through the airport, coming out the airport. I was like, I get outside, I'm like, why is this air still? But because that whole spiritual realm, okay, like that's a very strong spiritual ground there in Haiti, and I was like it just didn't make sense. And even when I was in Nigeria, the whole let me tell you a story real quick. I'll tell your audiences. There's this guy that I know. Um, and we stayed at the same hotel in Nigeria, and he was mining for I forgot what it was like, maybe for like some uh, maybe uranium or it's something like that. Okay, but he was doing some mining, and the people there close to where the mining occurs didn't want him there, even though he had legal paperwork. Right,
Hmm.
so I remember talking to him one day. His hair was all black, you know. He had all black hair. He had a black mustache, and like kind of like his hair. He was kind of like growing a beard, and it was all black. The next month I saw him, his hair was all white, Barry, in the audience, all white. You hear me? In 30 days, in 30 days,
Yeah,
there's no way in the world your hair is going to go from black to white. It just doesn't happen. No.
not naturally. Uh, Moses went up on the mountain, got the Ten Commandments, came back down, and
Right.
hair was white. And he had a glow about him that he had to wear a veil. So that wasn't natural. That's not. And what you're talking about to your friend, um, that doesn't just naturally happen in
No,
30
it doesn't.
days.
And I remember I was like I try not to be like, well, damn, like what happened? You know? Well, I was like, well, I'm like,
Yeah,
like you okay? Like you okay?
yeah.
And then he basically said, I think they used juju on me because they didn't want me to you know be there on that land to do the mining. And then that like from that point on, like I just never saw him again after that. He was gone. I was
Wow.
like, damn. Um, that's people here in the states don't even would never even see or hear anything like that. But you go listen, you go to these countries on the continent of Africa or go down to the Caribbean, you're getting to some real crazy stuff. That stuff that people in the states don't know anything about. I'm serious.
The only place I've ever been close to that
Right.
was
Well, check
New
it out. And
Orleans.
the history behind
And
that.
New Orleans, man, the vibe in New Orleans is it's a heavy vibe. If you know the stories, the number of slaves that were killed there indiscriminately, the atrocities done to all different kinds of people down there. That history, unless you research it, that
Yeah, well,
history's
you do know like a
lost.
lot of Haitians. A lot of Haitians because the Louisiana Purchase. The
Yep.
slave masters sometimes brought their slaves with them to Louisiana, and then, those are the Creoles. You see what I'm saying? Those became the Creoles,
Right.
and
Yeah.
a lot because they still practice that. Whatever they took with them, they brought with them, which of course they still practice that voodoo, and that's why it's so prevalent there in Louisiana. You see in New Orleans. You see? So
Yeah. Yeah. Do you know why April
I
Fools
have
is
no
called
idea.
April Fools? Because the April 1st traditionally was the beginning of a new year. Because it's spring, it's rebirth, it's renewal. So the calendar started on April 1st, and they moved it to January 1st, but select people kept celebrating it on April 1st, so they became April
Damn.
Fools for
Yeah.
celebrating the truth. Isn't that just a little tidbit there? All right, one final thing here. The way everybody in chat, thank you. I've apologized for not looking over here more as I'm doing right now. Say hello to True Shalom. Hi, not going away. Peace, love, sunshine. Echo Romeo. Delta. Delta, how are you, my man? It has been a while. Um, yeah. Yes. Good to see you, Delta. I hope everything's well. I hope everything's well with Echo, and I greatly appreciate you being here. Anybody has any questions or anything, pop them over in the chat, and we'll get here at the end. Um, Chris, I've been talking. I've been talking about the direct energy weapons and various things. Um, I don't I don't know how much damage can be done, but I imagine with supposed to have the most powerful direct energy weapon in the world, the United States is, and it's supposed to be in Antarctica, on the south in the South Pole area, and that is starting to melt, and it's going to get exposed. Um, I only bring that up because I've got two things to show here at the end. Have you ever heard of Edgar Casey,
I have
Chris?
not. No, not at all.
Okay, I learned about Edgar in college. He was a psychic healer. Um, he could put himself into a trance and literally leave his body and go to wherever a sick person was, and he could diagnose them and recommend natural treatments for them, and a lot and he became incredibly famous for this. Um, and he did a ton of spiritual readings, and I think um, his foundation is still going in South Carolina, if I'm not mistaken, the
So wait a
Edgar
second.
Casey
Wait a
Foundation.
second. You said he
Anyway,
could do what? He could leave his body?
he could leave his body. He would go into a trance, and he could astro project.
All right,
He could
right
leave
there,
his body, and like the one
right there tells me that's no good. Well, if you can astral project, that's all bad. You know that, right?
a lot of people say that he was connected to Satan, that the devil gave him these powers, things like that. Um, the only reason I bring him up is because he, in one of his trances, he saw this image of the United States after what he called the Great Shaking of the world. Atlantis comes up, the lost continent of Atlantis comes up in the Atlantic Ocean. Most of the East Coast is underwater. The country is split in half, with the Mississippi River now covering a lot of the interior. The West Coast has been decimated. There's water everywhere. Cuba, Haiti, the Dominican, all those islands are gone. They have sunk, and this new mass has come up. All right, that in and of itself is like, oh, well, that's crazy. But there is also this map, and I'm not going to be able to get it big enough, I'm sure. No, that's as big as I'm going to get it. Let me try that again here. Hang on. Oh, no. All right. That's as big as it's going to get. This map is supposedly from the United States Navy. It's the U.S. commercial nuclear power reactors and the number of years in operation. And this is supposedly showing what the Navy anticipates the United States to look like in the future. And the blue, this is all water. And it's awfully close to what Edgar Casey said. And Edgar Casey has Florida rising up more. The main part of Florida, the coastal parts will all disappear, but the main part will elevate, whereas the Navy has it, Florida being underwater as well, and a much wider swath of a Mississippi River as compared to what Casey envisioned. Do you know anything about this U.S. Navy map?
No, not at all.
Okay, all right. So obviously, I mean, I just bring these up because I don't think people know about these things, and if there is, you know, if CERN, if a country does something with a direct energy weapon that I believe Chile was triggered because of behavior, Chile not staying in line, so to speak, and I can see us getting attacked in this way, or if this eclipse is indeed a warning from God to repent, and our nation doesn't repent, and there is a great shaking. Another thing I learned in college is that along the Mississippi River, basically, there is a major fault line called the New Madrid Fault that in the past has been so active that it caused the Mississippi River to run backwards. So there is a major fault where if there's a great shaking of the entire earth or just of North America, a very big crack part of Washington, Oregon, all of Nevada, Utah, a big chunk can fall off if these plates drop, drift, and then come up as what Casey envisioned happening. One of those something to think about things, Chris.
Yeah, for sure, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Who's popped up here? Who is up here? What is going on, man?
Hey, Shalom, Barry.
I can't hear you. There you are. How are you, True?
Shalom, Barry.
Yeah,
Shalom,
I got
Chris.
you.
How y'all doing tonight?
Shalom, brother.
Hello.
Good to see you.
Peace, peace. Hey,
Peace.
question, while we talking about this eclipse, 2017 was the last one, correct?
Well, there was one in 17, and then last year, October of last year, actually right before Palestine, the Palestinian attack on Israel, there was another one that came across, only it wasn't a total like this one's going to be. The total eclipse was in 2017, and then this one in 2024. 7 years apart, also a biblical number.
Right. And as you were stating, because one thing we have in common is we read the scriptures. Um, One thing I heard you state, and I kind of feel the same way. Um, if will this eclipse be what everybody expects? Everybody thinks that, kind of just like what you said. God ain't gonna send a sign and then immediately, So I just say I brought up the other eclipses just to say this. Just think about all the things that have happened within those 5 years, or since 2017, and just the expectation, despite religion, despite despite. Go ahead. Oh, I think I was echoing. But yeah, anyway, just to close what I'm saying, it's I don't think we're gonna see everything for what exactly how the Bible says it, 40 days later, whatever. But there is some truth, and if the last 5 years and the differences in the sun and the moon that the Bible tells you to watch out for, if it's not giving signs, just like how you can speak on what you just spoke on Israel, the Most High is gonna give us signs, and they're not gonna be man-made. Um, Yeah, it's something I'm definitely gonna be watching and waiting because my belief. I do I think the ground's gonna start shaking and all that? I don't know. I won't say yes. I won't say no. Nothing will surprise me because I know God is mighty. You know.
Yeah. Chris?
No, I agree with him. When I was talking about the whole spiritual realm, right, and talking about my time in Nigeria, and my time in Haiti, that stuff is real. The spiritual realm is very, very real. A lot of people don't believe in that, but I can tell you firsthand, it's real.
Hey, Chris, I want to ask you a question. Just knowing that you've seen a lot and get a lot of point of views, with all the things that happens, is it people's mind frame that we already know it exists, or is it just people are too damn busy with their everyday lives and really just forget about um almost things like what they wish they want to see? It's like you almost got it. Because I can tell you honestly, just from my point of view, there's been things I've seen, um, it's unexplainable. And I think about them when I'm in deep thought, but I don't wake up I mean, on a few occasions, I wake up for like a week straight. But and then, I mean, as time goes on, you just kind of forget about things. I don't want to say we're numb to shit. Excuse
All
my
right,
language. But
now you're fine. Check this out. But here's the thing, right? Most people live in their own little bubble. You know what I'm saying?
You cut out there for a second. Did you say most people live in
Yeah.
their own little
You know,
bubble?
and they're not
Okay.
concerned about anything external if it doesn't affect them. You see? So if you're living like that, even though things are significant, you may not be paying attention to them because it doesn't affect you. I'm not saying you specifically, but it doesn't
right,
affect them. You see
right,
what I'm saying? So me, because the person that I am, I like to know stuff. You see, I like to know stuff.
Yeah.
So I'm not out there in the dark when something happens. I'm not like, well, what happened? How this happened? Why this happened? I want to know
right,
ahead of time. You see what I'm
right.
saying?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Hey, and one more thing I wanted to speak on. Um, I heard kind of at the beginning you were talking about them possibly being able to watch or see or monitor people who watch certain YouTube videos. Can you speak one more time on that, Barry, before I really just want to say what I got to say?
The Department of Justice has ordered Google, who's the parent company of YouTube, to give them the names and addresses and phone numbers of people that have watched specific videos. We don't know what those videos were,
What kind of content?
but just in general, yeah, we have no idea what the content was of those videos. All we know is the Department of Justice has done this with Google, and Google currently is not going to release it, but eventually their lawyers will probably have them comply.
It reminds me, if you don't know about a situation, a criminal case that happened some years back, big drug case. They needed to get into the iPhone. Apple wouldn't let them in the iPhone.
I remember that.
Yeah. Anyway, that's just kind of what sparks in my head. But what I wanted to get to is once again our brother Otho Wallace, and the only thing that even got him the time that he got was all the things off of social media that they could pull up in court. I don't know who watched the trial, but that's so. Even though the jury didn't want to find him guilty off the base of that, just his social media. So I say that just to rub shoulders with you on this to everybody. I mean, everybody's already kind of been skeptical. We've seen a long history of what they have done with our so-called freedom of speech. Yeah, just be careful, you know. You spoke on Fort Fisher, and there's a thing he just came out with, and it's speaking on and then this is why they're, you know, once again, you said you don't know the content, but I am speaking to a certain crowd right now. You know, while they were trying to pass that Senate Bill 1092 that we talked about previously, you know what I'm saying? Things we didn't talk about was, you know, how they're trying to have these like anti-militia acts, you know what I'm saying? Things of that nature. But that's the crowd I'm talking to. And News to Sheriff Fort Fisher did a good job. I really, I know I talked to you before, Barry, if Galaxy Boo's watching this, you know, peace, you know what I'm saying? What's up? But I seen a episode on News to Sheriff from Fort Fisher about the Boogaloo and maybe a wild card that they had to get rid of. And
Yeah, I'm gonna do an episode on that tomorrow.
so I'm gonna do what I gotta say with just basically saying, people, you know, for one, they already been watching what you watching. That's why they send you the commercials they send you. I'm not gonna get into the details. Just know your life ain't private, and neither is that search engine, you know. So yeah, go ahead, Barry. I just wanted to close with that. I'm tuned in.
All right, I'm gonna do an episode on that tomorrow because it'll take about 15 minutes to get through the whole thing. Ford interviewed a group that was Boogaloo. They have rebranded into a new name, and one of their members was too far out there for them, so they talking about explosives and all different kinds of stuff. But yeah, and Ford did a really great job interviewing that. So I was going to bring that to attention tomorrow. Hey, before we let you go, what do you think about all this P. Diddy and Jay-Z and any thoughts on that?
I think things of that nature are a distraction. You know, the only thing that matters to me right now is getting Otho Wallace home earlier than what they says he still has a pill coming up. So everybody, othal.org, othal.org. There's over $121,000 raised so far. It's going straight to his legal defense fund. Our brother's coming home. While we're talking about all this spiritual talk and all this, that as you let me state before, let me just state it again. We are talking about a great brother, um, a person that identifies as an Israelite. Spirit is for everybody. He wants justice for all. You know what I'm saying? And right now it's time for us because he's been fighting. He's been fighting for us for a long time. Prior to NFAC days, and that brother's been boots on the ground. So Othel.org. So just to get back to P. Diddy and things of that nature, how do I want to just say this? I'm 35 years old. I've heard enough specifically about just that man. 10, 15 years ago, so kind of like what Cat Williams said, I mean, that's not my, Hollywood's not my thing. When I think of Hollywood right now, I think of every rapper that had something to say about police brutality, and we have a living person. I'm trying to reach out to people and say, hey, all that music you talked about, we got a brother that need help. So at the end of the day, Barry, I don't no disrespect.
No, none taken, man. I appreciate you.
Like while he's on Diddy Island, that's what I call it, because I know him and Epstein got some ties, so I call it Diddy Island. So I mean.
All right. Hey, I do need to ask both of you one final thing here. We'll close with this. Putin has supposedly opened the historical vaults in Russia, and he is showing pictures of a non-white Jesus and non-white apostles.
It's the Russian icons book.
We've all,
it's the Russian icons book, and I do.
We've talked about this before, but go ahead.
Yeah, it's the Russian icons book, and I want to pay homage to the ISUPK, Israelite School of Universal and Practical Knowledge, under Commander General Yohanna since 1969. 1 West Harlem, New York. They've been showing that book since 1969. So it someone like me, it's not new news. The truth is the truth, and I didn't really want to. I've been wanting to, Barry, but just knowing that you have a background in the church. My simple question to you, and I've heard a lot of what you said. When it comes to the scriptures and Christianity, Islam, Israelites, all that.
You're freezing up on me, brother. You're froze.
I'm still here.
Chris, are you still there?
No,
Maybe I'm froze.
Yeah,
okay.
Froze.
All right. Yeah. All right. I want to know what the question is. We'll have him back on. We'll have True back on soon. Thank you again to Echo, Delta, Peace, Love, Sunshine. Not going anywhere. Not going anywhere. She's not going away. No, she's not. Thank you all. Thank you all for being here. Chris, as always, thank you, man.
As always.
Hey,
sure.
We'll talk tomorrow.
Hold on.
All right. Again, thank you all for being here. It's greatly appreciated. I apologize that we lost True there at the end, right before he was going to ask me a question. We'll get on it because I want to know what the question is and hope I have an answer for him. And I will do. I'm going to do a short episode sometime tomorrow. It might be a recorded episode. I want to direct people to Ford Fisher and what he has, as well as another thing, and who knows what's going to happen tomorrow. Anyway, as far as coming back on live, I don't know if we'll be on Wednesday. I don't know if we'll be on Friday. I don't know if it'll be next Monday. It just depends how things go. So if you would, hit the subscribe, hit that notification bell, hit the like, and we will see you again soon. Blessings be upon